Quran. I think you spoke about tanzil with respect to the Quran. Now, if we look at tanzil with respect to the sustenance, for example, from verse 15:21, we have Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَإِن مِّن شَيْءٍ إِلَّا عِندَنَا خَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. So the concept of tanzil seems to also apply to sustenance or rizq. Is tanzil of rizq similar to that of the Quran, or they are very different? Also, we have the concept of yabsutu rizq. So for sustenance, the Quran also speaks of yabsut. So overall, the question is, what is different with respect to tanzil and tabsit for rizq and for Quran?
Yeah. Everything which is good, it is positive, has its resources with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِن مِّن شَيْءٍ لَا عِندَنَا خَزَائِنُهُ وَمَا نُنَزِّلُهُ إِلَّا بِقَدَرٍ مَعْلُومٍ. We don't send it down except in a fixed measure, in a measure which has been decided. So, there are unlimited sources of all the good things from which a limit, something fixed, is given to creatures. So when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us good decisions or good decrees, for example in Laylatul Qadr, it means that we ask Him to give us from those unlimited resources and treasures as much as possible in our worldly container. So this is about rizq, this is about knowledge, this is about anything good that is originated from kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you. The second question is about also related to Quranic Sciences lecture. It's about some patterns in the Quran. So the question is that the person was listening to a lecture and the scholar mentioned that there are few patterns in the Quran that Allah uses like a pair of words and it's always occurring back and forth. Mm-hmm. For example, we have Al-Aziz Al-Alim, Al-Alim Al-Hakim, Ghafur Rahim, Kabirun Basir, and so on. So the scholar that mentioned this, and he mentioned that he would explain or shed some words on the reasons behind this, but he actually didn't do so in the lecture. So the person is wondering if you can provide some insight as to why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses such patterns in the Quran.
This needs to be discussed one by one. So between those adjectives and what has been requested or mentioned before them, it's a relation. So if you are asking for forgiveness, then for example something like Ghafur Rahim comes. If you ask for knowledge, something like Sami' Alim, for example, comes. So there is a relation between what we request and those attributes of Allah that we mention as our support. It means that I have this understanding that you have already been doing this and exhibiting this virtue, so may I ask you to also help me with this particular issue.
Okay. The last question we have for today is a general question.
Yes.
It's about being grateful at a deeper level. Mm-hmm. So the question says, how do we embody gratitude in our actions? We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need our thanks, and that being grateful is for our own good.
Yeah.
So how can we act, or what can we do to be grateful at a deeper level?
First of all, of course, we should thank verbally. When someone has done lots of good things to us, we first try to thank him again and again. But also, we should thank practically, which is more important. So instead of just saying, some of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can practically use those names or attributes of Allah in the way that would be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, if Allah has given me eyes by which we can study, so I should use my eyes for studying. I should not use my eyes for things which are neutral or even bad. So this is shukra amali, this is practical thankfulness, and everyone is responsible to try hard to find how he can or she can have this and bring it to many people.
Okay, thank you. So these were the questions. If somebody has a question that they would like to ask, please feel free to either ask directly or send the question to the message to the Telegram group.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
I have a question. We actually asked it in the past, but it came up again in 2 mubahathas.
Yes.
And there were quite a few answers given, but none of them seems very clear and decisive.
Yes.
So it's a question on theology. We believe in universal morality, right?
Yes.
So the question that has been posed is if we believe that Allah follows universal morality, how doesn't it make Allah a subject, like you understand?
Yes.
How doesn't it make this morality higher than Allah, and how doesn't it make it another God first? And also, what is the source of this morality? Because if we say that Allah Himself is the source of it, if He put it in us, don't we go back to Ash'arite argument? Thank you.
You're welcome. Rules of mathematics, rules of physics, rules of logic, rules of philosophy, rules of morality, these are real. It's not that they are imposed by religion or any authority. When we say 2 plus 2 is 5, or when we say in geometry that the nearest distance between 2 points is when you have a straight line, these are things that are real. If you understand the meaning of 2 and 2 and 5, you realize that 2 plus 2 cannot be 5. If you understand the meaning of a straight and distance between 2 lines, you know that the shortest distance would be a straight line. So these things are not something that either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be free from observing them or He becomes limited. No, actually, He observes them because this is the rules of this great reality, which is partly God and partly His creation. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also confirms that 2 plus 2 is 4 and not 5, He is not losing. Actually, His honor and perfection is that He is 100% in compliance with these rules. But in compliance not by following or being subject, but by actually taking these rules out of reflection on the existence that it is Him or His creature. So our mind is not creating these rules, our mind is reflecting on the realities. And these realities are either absolute reality, which is God, or created realities which come from God. So in the course of understanding, you don't need to be a believer in God so that you can understand that keeping your promise is necessary. You don't need to be a believer to know that you should not harm people who are innocent. But If we were not there, this world was not there, God had not created anything, we were not able to come to this conclusion. Not that we made it, but we were not able to discover it and explore it. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala observes all the universal values of morality, but it's not that He is limited by them or He is inferior to them.
Can we say that this shows a sort of reliability and truthfulness of Allah then? And from there, can we lead it to the importance of reliability in people?
Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can say He is truthful, but He is more than truthful because He's the truth. So He doesn't say lies, la yakdhib. He doesn't, for example, break His promises, la yukhliful mi'ad. So you can say He's truthful, but you should also know that the absolute truth is God. And absolute truth cannot be acting in contradiction with any truth.
Thank you, Sheikh. We actually received one more general question. If that's okay.
Sure.
So the question says that in some of your speeches, you mentioned the importance for us to expand our capacity, and the person is asking about the best way to do so.
Yes. Capacity can be increased by humbleness, because arrogance limits our capacity. Humbleness actually expands your heart. So if we become more humble, our capacity would increase. If we are more determined for example, learning, our capacity for learning would increase. Determination is very important. Concentration is very important. If we can concentrate on that little thing that I have, or those little things that we have, then we can create more opportunities and our capacity can increase. Knowledge also increases one's capacity. And sometimes problems that we go through increase our capacity. A person who has been through lots of difficulties and challenges and still remains patient and persistent, his capacity has been multiplied and multiplied.
Thank you, dear Sheikh.
You're welcome.
So, are there any more questions? We have a few minutes. Otherwise, Sheikh, if you would like for the students to send and pass their salams here live.